using your creativity and the ability to work wherever as a means to travel, it's just the best. It's the best.
You're listening to Creative Rebels, the podcast for creatives.
Welcome back, Rebels. David Speed here. Currently, I'm in New York City, baby. And I have been leaving a lot of art in the streets. So if you live in the Big Apple, keep your eyes peeled. You might find something. This week's episode is with my friend Rosie Rackham, who, when I first met, was completely lost. And I'm sure she won't mind me saying that. I would speak to Rosie and I could see the frustration because she would ask me what to do. She would ask me for certain advice, and a lot of the times I didn't have a specific answer. It was more just around the idea of just keep making stuff and things will happen. And that's not necessarily what any of you guys want to hear. You want like the number one tip that's going to get my rent paid this month. And I wish I had that, but so often the answer is to just keep making stuff by whatever means you can. Get that rent paid however you can. Because this shit is hard, man. And I know I've been there, and fighting capitalism and neoliberalism and individualism and all of the other isms that make having a creative career really fucking tough. I so relate, and it's so hard. And hearing the answer of just keep making stuff is probably what most people don't want to hear. But it is the answer. You have to survive by any means necessary and keep making stuff. And following your curiosity, and from that, beautiful things will happen. And so that's why I'm so happy to have Rosie on the episode this week, because here is someone who's still early in their career, like just coming up to 3 years on a tattooing career. So early on, but I think that's good for people to hear that. And obviously, like she has a much longer career in terms of like making art, but only moving into tattooing for the last 3 years. And tattooing is one of those industries that I think, if it's being done right, is so beautiful. That exchange of here's my art and you're going to wear it on your body for the rest of your life. There's really, I mean, there's few things that come close to that. It's an industry that I have experience with, that I have a lot of love for. But I think you guys will get a lot from hearing Rosie's story and seeing someone who has come from the frustration of literally not being able to make ends meet, but doing whatever they can to just keep making stuff and coming out the other side. So it is my honor to introduce you this week to Rosie Rackham.
Hello, Rosie Rax.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, really, really, really good.
So we just had a lovely long chat before we started recording, and you were saying, I'm not sure, like I couldn't believe it when you asked me to be on the podcast, because I'm like so early into this career of mine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I don't know, I still feel like a baby. I still feel like I've just graduated and I'm frolicking, and I mean I'm still, mid-20s, so
And so I said, well, I think that's good, because I think that what I really want in this show is like a really diverse mix of guests, and that includes ages. And I want people to see like early stage creatives who are making it, who are doing really well. Like you've been tattooing for like 3 years now, right?
Yeah, so I started at I think it was the end of 2023. And then I moved back home and I spent a year commuting up to London every week to work. And then took a year out to travel, and then worked whilst I was traveling as well. And now I'm back. Today's actually the first day that I'm tattooing again in London after going away.
So you were living with your parents to like make ends meet?
I couldn't start tattooing and then get good at it. If I was living here, I'd have to have been doing other work as well. So just moving home meant that I could focus completely on tattooing, and it just gave me the freedom to do that and not have to pay extortionate rent. And it also just gave me quiet. I think where I live is peaceful and it's inspiring, and it meant that I could draw.
That commute was was probably a killer though.
Oh, it
And
was savage. It was absolutely savage.
where were you commuting between to and from?
Just from Norwich, it's a tiny little village called Spoonerrow. So I'd commute from Spoonerrow to East London, sleep on my friends' sofas I worked Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then I'd drive home. And then sometimes I'd come up in the summer, I'd come up for like 2 weeks and just work loads and hang out. But honestly, after a while, I was just like, I can't do this anymore. Because I started to feel really bad. Like I was scrimping off my parents and then scrimping off my friends when I was here. I just felt like a bit of a bum after a while.
But I
But it
just
was
think that's so
necessary.
important though. I just think like
Yeah.
that's how you make it happen. That's the key period, is like the when you're getting yourself established and you do whatever you can to make ends meet. It's like if
Yeah.
I think back of when I started my first business, so that would have been like 15 years ago, and I moved back in with my parents also. And to anyone who's listening, like who doesn't have parents that they can move back with, that's a
Mm.
whole other set of obstacles that you've got to get over. It's like that early stage is do whatever you can.
I was thinking that entire year how, like, luckily I got on really well with my parents and I could move back and it was really lovely. And I've got my own room at home and it's how it was since I was 9 years old and it's my space. But some people don't have that. Like some of my
Yeah.
friends, they moved out and then they moved out and they go back for Christmas and that's it.
Yeah, and their
And
room's
it's
now the
just,
study. Yeah.
yeah, 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 exactly. And it really, like, I'm so grateful for that. And it really, really helped out. And even now, I've come back and I've moved back home and I'm in the same room. And it's just such a blessing, honestly. I feel so lucky.
It is really lucky, and I think that's why I always say, like, just use the resources that are available to you.
Mm,
So if you've got a bestie who is working in a bank and they've got a lovely flat and they don't mind you sleeping on their sofa, then like
yeah,
don't feel bad. Like the bestie wouldn't offer it. Do you know what I mean? Like you've
yeah,
got to, I think, feeling bad about the people that are helping you during that early stage when basically all you need is help, because
yeah.
your art is not bringing enough income in to support you. And that's
Uh-huh.
and that's why it's so fucking hard to become a creative, is because
Yeah.
how can you support yourself if your art is not making any money and you can't afford your rent or your food or your clothing?
It's why it is so hard. And it's why people end up not giving up. But if you don't have a home, your parents' home you can go back to, or if you don't have friends that can support you, people just get jobs and then that's how they afford to live. And yeah, I don't know. But this time, for example, now this is the first time I'm back here in London. I'm whoever's house they stay at, I'm giving them 20 quid a night now. And it's friends and they've said you don't have to, but I can now.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
feels much better. And I feel okay staying here. Like I had a moment last night where I was like, oh, I feel so bad staying up this sofa bed in your lovely new home. And I felt like I was just taking up too much space. And they were like, you're paying rent and board. Like, it's fine.
Yeah,
So I
man.
definitely feel better about it now, you know. It's just a necessary step.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So when we first met, you were lost, and I just remember that, like, it was so difficult for me because you were like, oh, I don't know, and this is not working, and I don't know what I'm doing, and I was really trying to like reassure you, and I was like, just keep making stuff, you'll be fine. And
Uh,
I do feel in retrospect now that that was good advice, and you did follow
yeah.
the advice, and you did keep making stuff. But you never planned to be a tattoo artist, did you? You were like an illustrator when I met you.
No, completely. It was always something that I wanted to try, but it was just the permanence of it was just terrifying. And
Yeah.
I'm less of a perfectionist now, interestingly, but before the idea of putting something on someone's skin and then not liking it was just I could not I couldn't even fathom it in my mind. Like it was just so terrifying. But actually tattooing has helped me get over that because not everything that you do you're gonna like, you know. But when I was illustrating before, I'd do a few lines on a page and then tear it up because I thought it was crap. I was so self-critical. But yeah, it was just something I wanted to try and I did a bit of practice on fake skin and found it really hard just because the texture is so different to normal skin. So I bought some pig skin and had that in the freezer. I can't remember if I've told you this before. And it sat there for months and months and months. And then I moved out of London and I took the pig skin home with me. And I was home alone one day and I was just fidgety. Like I really wanted to try something new. And my parents were out and I got this pig skin and I put it in the microwave to just frost it. And it turned to crackling.
God.
It was disgusting, David. So that was gone, and I just ended up doing something on myself. I did something on my ankle. Actually, it was this piece here. Oh,
Hey.
you can kind of see it. And I just loved it. I loved it. I loved the repetitiveness and the intense focus that you need when you're doing a tattoo.
So at
And
that
it just
point then, so is it, because that's quite a drastic step. Like you fucked up the pigskin and then you were
yeah,
like, oh, got no pigskin. Oh, well, I suppose I'll just use myself then.
yeah, that's exactly it.
And I almost feel like it's actually beautiful that the pigskin happened for a reason, because as soon as that marking is on yourself, it's like, I can't go back from this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And then once I'd done that, the fear just melted away, because in my head I'd kind of told myself that I was going to be really bad and I was going to do, if I didn't practice a lot first on fake skins of kinds, I was going to blow a massive hole in my leg, like I was going to just, but it's obviously not true. Like the reality is never that bad and it's just your mind trying to protect yourself. And yeah, I did the first one and then I just went straight on to Friends, and it was like, I can't believe how much trust they put in me. I'm so grateful for it.
So I used to tattoo. I tattooed for about 3 years.
I didn't know that about you.
Yeah. So
David, you've lived a million lives.
I know it's crazy. I thought I was going to be a tattooer. So I met someone at uni. Obviously, we were young at uni, but he was gradually getting covered, and he used to go to this tattoo studio. Me and him were mates, and he just mentioned to the guy in the tattoo studio, "Oh, my mate does graffiti," because this guy was looking to get his shop painted. So then my friend introduced me to his tattoo artist, and his tattoo artist said to me, "Have you ever tattooed?" And I was like, "No, I've always wanted to, but I know how hard of an industry it is to get into, and I haven't got like a spare 3 years for an apprenticeship." And this guy was like, "Fuck that, like just come here tomorrow and I'll start teaching you." I was like, "What? That's incredible." So he gave me this like impromptu apprenticeship, and initially it was just like, well, this is a bit of extra money while I'm doing my degree and this is fun. And then I started going to my degree less and less and going to the studio more and more. I just got obsessed with it. I was like, this is so fun.
I think like traditionally that is what people did. You did an apprenticeship and you kind of earned your right to hold a tattoo machine in a way. And that mentality does still exist a little bit, maybe in more trad shops, and especially with machine. I think the good thing about hand poke is that it's a really accessible way to get into it, and there's less that can go wrong.
So how did you get into it?
I literally went on Amazon, which is so bad, and just ordered needles.
So you didn't
crap.
You didn't meet someone who was doing hand poke and they were like, "Oh, you buy this, this, and this," and you didn't get tattooed yourself first? Like
I did so much research and I watched so many videos, and then obviously getting tattoos helps. But
you're not like covered, right? You haven't got loads.
No, I'm not. I don't want to be covered. I think, and that's also a bit of a controversial point. I was tattooing recently in the studio and the artist next to me was going on about how if you're a tattoo artist, you should be covered in tattoos. And I think they forgot that I was there, because we actually got on really well. So I think they just had a moment where they were like, I don't know, they just got lost in the conversation. And it does kind of sometimes make me feel like I shouldn't be doing this job.
Okay, no, please don't think like that, because I had exactly the same thing, and the only reason that I have 90% of my tattoos is because someone said to me, your clients will feel nervous being tattooed by you if you're not covered. And so 90% of the tattoos I have are for the wrong reason. You shouldn't get
Yeah,
tattooed because you
exactly.
feel pressure to appear a certain way.
Yeah.
It's absolute bullshit. So and if I could go back, I would not get half of the tattoos that I have. Like I've got a
Yeah,
full sleeve,
exactly.
full chest piece, like big thigh piece. Like I would not be heavily tattooed if I could go back. And
No.
I think what reassures a client is your portfolio of work. Whether you're
Yeah,
tattooed or
100%.
not means fucking nothing. So I'm
Uh,
really glad that you're sticking to your guns and you don't get like caught up in that bullshit.
yeah, exactly. I think it is important to have well, I don't know. I think I've got like 7 or 8 maybe. But I think it is important because, well, definitely important to do someone yourself and see how they age because tattoos change. They continue to change forever. The ink expands. And this one on my ankle, it looks very different to when I first did it. And having it on me means that I can watch it age and see how the ink changes. And that then informs me on how to tattoo in the future because people don't always send heel pics, you know. I'm out here chasing people for heel pics and you just don't get them. Um, so yeah, I think a certain amount is important, but to feel pressure to be covered is just I've got friends that are covered and they regret it now. And it's
Yeah.
I could never do that.
Yeah, I've seen people saying like having no tattoos is the new having tattoos.
The laser is becoming so popular right now.
So once you'd like kind of inked yourself, was there a sort of a point where you were like where you decided I'm leaving illustration behind, or were you thinking I'll do a bit of illustration and see where this tattooing thing goes?
I think for me, it was a pretty hard decision to focus completely on tattooing because it is still illustration. My style just changed. I think one of the issues that I was
Well,
having
your style didn't
before,
change, your medium changed.
my medium changed and then that informed my style, I think.
Yeah.
Because my style before when I was illustrating was very graphic and bold. And I think that was partially down to the mediums that I was using. So I was doing a lot of stuff in Adobe Illustrator. Anytime I had a vector on my screen, I think it's because you've got the ability to make everything so perfect. I was just so locked into making things look as clean as possible, which actually it was a bit of a hindrance. I found it incredibly frustrating sitting and looking at a computer all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then when I changed my medium to hand poke, because it's dot by dot, naturally I started to draw things that were really soft with gradients and they had a bit more of a flow to them. So I think you could still see that it was me, but it was very different.
Yeah, 100%. The traditional journey into tattooing gets you practicing roses and old school trad tattooing and like thick bold lines, and it's a very like standard journey that so many people go into the
Uh,
industry with. And then when you find yourself in as an apprentice in a shop, you take on everything that comes through the door. So if someone wants, I mean, I cannot tell you how many stars on ankles I've tattooed on people. Like that was stars on ankles, and names on wrists. Like I did that shit like all day long as an apprentice. But you didn't do that. You came in with your style, and I think there's tattooers who are working for years and years and want to be doing their style, but they're stuck doing like whatever comes into the shop. And I think, and
yeah.
what you did really well, and I suppose it's a lesson in branding, is you just presented, this is the work I make, this is the work I want to make. This is like, there was no stars on ankles in your portfolio, because that's the thing I'll always say to people as well, is when I first started painting in neon paint for the first year, I didn't really get many opportunities, and I knew that would be the case. I went into it going, I've got to establish this. So as I'm working, I got a lot of DMs from, let's say, like burger vans, for example, because there was definitely a few food vans that contacted me. And I know that had I done a load of burger vans, I'd still be doing burger vans now, because it puts you, no offense to anyone who's got a burger van, like it's
I'd love
beautiful,
to
but
have
I knew for my career, like, so last year I painted Nobu, and it's like, you don't get Nobu if you take the burger vans. Do you know what I mean? That's so,
yeah.
but what I do say to people is like, if you do have to do the burger van of whatever it is you do. Like if you do have to take the clients that you're not necessarily proud of, you don't have to show that work. Do you know what I
Hmm.
mean? It's like if you're taking stuff because you need to survive and you need the paycheck, fully support that, but you don't
Yeah.
need to post about it. You don't need to. So I think what you cleverly, I don't know if you were doing the shitty stuff that comes into the studio that's just like that turns over the money. I don't know if you were
Yeah.
doing that, but if you were, you weren't displaying it on your portfolio, so you weren't getting asked for loads more of that type of stuff.
I had a period where I was like, I'd get a custom request that I didn't want to do, and I wouldn't do it. I'd send them to another artist that I thought would be better suited. And then I was like, actually, if I can do it and I know that I can do a good job of it, it's always kind of smart to do it, because you never know, you might be super busy this month, but tattooing ebbs and flows. People in summertime, people don't get tattooed as much because they're out swimming or they're out in the sun and they don't want to be caring for a new tattoo. So I think I always try and say yes if I can, unless what the person wants is I can picture an artist straight away that I know would do a much better job, because they're also looking for bookings, like you've got to help other people out as well.
That's very refreshing to hear, because I think it's rare to hear, because what most people will do is they will go, this is not my style, but fuck it, I'm just going to do it anyway because I need the
Mm.
cash. And what is a far more business advantage, like that works in the short term, but relationships are so much more valuable, and the amount of
Yeah.
referrals that you will get from someone because you've been referring to them is going to pay
Mm.
your bills 10 times over, just taking the quick like one shot, one and done, and fucking over the person who's actually better suited to it.
Yeah. Also, it doesn't make you feel good if I do a tattoo that's not. I mean, I don't really tattoo. It's not in my style. Do you know? I actually don't think I could. Like technically, if
Yeah.
someone came to me and they were like, "I want lines," I I could do a line, but it's not going to be the best line ever because it's not what I do. It's not what I've spent 2 years trying to get really good at. So yeah, always send people to others if you think that they can do a better job. And then it's kind of a collaboration of sorts. And you've linked two more people together, and that always feels nice.
Yeah, I think the whole process of, this is me being really woo-woo, but I think the whole process of tattooing is really spiritual. I
It
think
is.
yeah, there's that connection that you have with that person. Like the journey you go on with a client when you tattoo them is such a, I don't know if you notice this, but like how their guard is suddenly let down when you tattoo. So
Mhm.
I guess it's just that intimacy of like contact, and it's just the two of you in a space going through something, and they're feeling this like weird sensation. They just open up and tell you everything about
I know.
themselves and their lives.
It's the trust. The trust is insane.
Mm,
Like, and the conversations are always, well, they're not always good because some people don't want to chat. Sometimes they want to just. People always fall asleep when I'm tattooing them. They always fall asleep, or they just, or we have really great conversations, or they just lie there and they look up. And a few people have said that they find it really relaxing because it's the only time that they really stop and lie down and they're not distracted. Like you're focusing on this sensation on your body, and it could be a little bit painful, or it can be really painful, or it can make you twitch, or you're just so locked in. It really brings you back into your body and you're so focused on the present moment. I think both for the artist and for the client. And I've met some amazing people, really and truly. Like some of the conversations have been so enriching, I guess is the right word. And great for me because I'm so introverted. And I mean, you knew me before I started this. I was such a homebody. I would just sit at home drawing all day. And the less I socialize, the less I like remember how to socialize.
yeah.
So this job's perfect because it's given me structure and routine, and I meet two new people when I'm working every day, and it keeps me socially lubricated. I know that sounds really weird, but it's that's one of the best things about it, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it makes perfect sense. It's like, because I also am deeply introverted, and but we do still have that need for connection.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
for me, like I love the street conversations that I get into when I'm out painting. And it's just
Yeah.
like, it's just 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just having a chat with someone who's walking past. But it is, Yeah, there's just something about connection that is, it's not on the hierarchy of needs, is it? Like human connection. It might be,
Mm.
it should be. I think it's
I
like
think it's number one.
food, shelter, and but I
Oh
think
yeah,
the
water.
hierarchy of needs are all very like self things, aren't they? They're like what you need to survive. But what are we here to do if not to connect?
Oh
It's
God, I
so
think I'd go
important.
absolutely bonkers. Put me in a cave and lock me up. I would lose my mind within 3 days, I reckon.
Well, that's why they say the worst punishment for a person is solitary confinement, don't
Yeah,
they?
I
Um,
can really imagine that.
let's talk about that process of like getting, you've decided I want to explore this, and so
Mm.
you've got your fucking cowboy kit off of Amazon, and I know anyone who's a tattooer who's come through like the old school traditional way of getting an apprenticeship will be like screaming into
I
the
know,
telephone
I
at the
know.
moment.
I almost want you to cut that bit out. But do you know what? I know so many people who are self-taught and they are incredible artists. They really are. And I think over lockdown, like the industry just became so saturated with people because everyone's at home. What are you gonna do? Or
Yeah,
doesn't need to us on the internet and just start messing around. And it brought a really new wave of artists with their own style, very distinct style. So it diversified the industry so much, I think. And it was obviously happening before lockdown, but I think lockdown just amplified it. So then how I made the jump was I had a friend who had a friend that had a studio. So I just started one day a week. I started on a Saturday and then I upped it to 2 days and then I upped it to 3 days. And I just really slowly built up a client base here. I had one video when I did this one on my ankle. I turned it into a reel and that went down really well. And I think that helped hugely in getting a following at the beginning. It wasn't much, like it didn't go super viral, but it definitely helped a lot, which is nice.
it's so interesting that um like because thinking about it logically, I would just think that that would not be the way to go. But I think it's like the honesty of it, because if I saw a video and said like, "Oh, I've just done my first tattoo," my inclination wouldn't be like, "Oh, do you want to do me next then?" Because you've just
Yeah.
done one tattoo.
I
Um,
know. But it wasn't actually my first one. So initially I just did the circle in the middle. And so the video was like I did a few dots above it and as a test, and then I did the circle. And then the video that I made was turning the circle and the dots into something that looked nice and less so
gotcha.
erratic. But yeah, I completely hear you. Like I wouldn't get a tattoo from someone that, I knew that they'd only just started. But then that's just me.
But then if you are trying to get into the industry, like that's where we will start. And I remember the advice that I was given from every tattooer was you need skin and you need as much skin as
Yeah,
possible.
exactly.
And those early clients for you are most likely going to be friends. The problem for me was I was in Lancaster going to uni and all my friends lived in Croydon. So
Mm,
there was no one getting tattooed by me that was my mate. Like
no.
uni people who I've known for like 10 minutes or like, do you want me to draw all over you? Well, like, no. Because really like you need friends who know that it's going to be not the best tattoo in the world and
Yeah.
are okay with that because they're part of your journey coming along with you. So the way I got my first skin was my boss put up a sign in the studio that said free tattoos from The Apprentice. And
Mm,
there are some people who want it just because it's free, which blew my mind. And I would always say, this is not going to be the greatest tattoo in the, and they, oh, don't mind, mate, it's free, so it's okay.
yes.
And
I
I'd be
think
like,
people just
okay,
love like they just love getting tattooed.
yeah, yeah,
It's just a fun thing to do. And I think a lot of people aren't so precious about their skin. A lot of people
yeah,
don't actually mind. And I do think there was already that element. Like my friends saw my work before and they knew how much of a perfectionist I was. And so they were like, okay, well, she's not going to fuck us up that badly.
yeah,
And actually the first tattoo I did on someone else, it was on my housemate, Rue. And we did, talking of stars, it was a little star on her wrist. So we've all done stars. I feel like everyone's been there.
yeah. But
Um,
in your style, like this was mine were just like stars.
yeah, no, it was a little dot work star. It was really cute actually. And I did one pass over the entire thing, wiped it, and there was nothing there. I hadn't put any ink in her skin because I'd gone so light that because I was worried I was gonna hurt her.
Yeah.
So that was funny. But then we just went over again, and it took such a long time, but it's actually healed really nicely. I don't know what it looks like now, but I think I saw it maybe a year ago, and it looks good, which is a relief.
So when I was in the industry, like hand poking was not a thing. I mean, it was that was something that was a lot more traditional, and you'd be
Mm,
aware of like the people who like knock with a stick. You'd be aware of
yeah.
those people, and the people that hand poked. But it was such like 20. This is 16 years ago. Like it was such a like niche thing that if you worked in the tattoo industry, you were aware of it, but there wasn't really anyone doing it. And then sort of
Mm,
last sort of, I don't know, decade or so, it's become a style. And so I don't really know much about hand poking. Is it a
um,
lot slower than if you use a machine?
yeah, so obviously with a machine you put the needle in, and then the machine makes the needle go in and out, and you can adjust that speed. So you can put dots in so fast. But with hand poke, you're moving it like you would a pencil, so just dot by dot. So it takes a really long time.
So
Really
then
long time.
my question then on that is so pricing wise,
Yeah.
it would be more expensive for a smaller piece than it would be.
Well, this is an issue that I think I know a lot of. I've actually just had this conversation with hand pokers so many times, but it's really hard to feel like you can charge what your work is worth when you're hand poke, when you're doing exactly the same design as a machine artist. It will take you maybe twice as long. It depends how fast you are as a hand poker. Some hand pokers are really quick, but I think that's why a lot of artists transition to machine. So say I do, 2 pieces in a day, I'll be at the studio I'll take my first client at 10, maybe I'll go until, I could be going back to back, so I could be going 10 till 2, and then my next client comes in, or 10 till half 2, then my next client comes in at 3, and I could be going till 6 or 7. That's on like a
Wow.
long day.
Yeah.
And then if I was doing machine, that would take half the time, and it frees up more, gives you more time in the day to do other things. It just gives you your life back to a certain degree, I guess. But then you lose the magic of hand poke, which is the slowness, and it's very meditative, and the texture is so. I just adore the texture of hand poke. It just looks so beautiful, and you can kind of replicate that with a machine, but I don't know. I love it, but I do want to. I do want to learn machine. I do want to learn machine, especially for the darker parts of designs. If I could do the darker parts, machine, lighter parts hand poke, and then I can do bigger projects, and I can progress, and I can feel like I'm moving forwards. But yeah, I
Blend
don't
of
know.
both could be really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I know a few artists that do a blend of both. But then I found this artist the other day called Slower Black. I think I don't know where they're based, but they're hand poke, and they've been doing it for like 12 years or something, and they're still hand poke, which is less common.
Yeah.
Um, but their work is amazing, and they've really mastered it, I would say. From an outside perspective, that's what it seems like. It's just refreshing to see someone that's been hand poking for that long and doesn't seem to be thinking of moving to machine, or.
Yeah, and having that as your USP, like having it as part of it, I think is smart. It's like
Yeah.
this is going to take longer, but that's why we're doing it.
Yeah.
And I like how passionate you got about the way it looks. Like
Yeah, I love it.
this is an informed decision of this is how I want this piece to come across.
Yeah. And I feel like it just looks so, there's, as with anything handmade, it's got that handmade touch to it.
Yeah.
And there are more variations in the gradient, or there might be a part that is a slightly bit darker than it should be, or lighter than it should be, or in my opinion, it just looks more natural on the skin. But then it depends what you want. It depends what you're into. Some people like more natural looking tattoos. Some people like super clean, crisp. Neither is better than the other. It's all amazing. But I personally love how organic it feels.
So I think one of my favorite things about tattooing is that it can afford you like a nomadic lifestyle. And
Yes.
I think really why I wanted to get you on the show is because I've been watching your adventures over the past couple of years and just
Yeah.
seeing you living your best life, and it's been so beautiful to see, because I know how like caught up you were before
Mm,
you found tattooing, and it's just been lovely to see you like come into yourself and just be free and just be living this like crazy life of just traveling around and seeing beautiful places. And your means to doing that is by making art along the way. Like, oh, what a fucking beautiful life that is, man. Like, just as I'm describing, I'm
yeah.
just like, it's just so magical. So where did the decision come from to go traveling? How did that all come about?
I've always wanted to travel, always, always, always. And then I just had a friend who wanted to go as well. So we went together and it was amazing. We started off doing a motorbike trip down the whole of Vietnam and then went to Thailand for a bit, then over to New Zealand, where I actually worked as a landscape gardener for a while,
No
which
way.
is random. So that was another thing that funded it. And then went out to Indonesia and then came back, and that's when I really started tattooing. I also tattooed a bit in Bangkok as well, which was amazing. Really gorgeous studio there, True Blue Studio, if anyone's thinking about going to Bangkok. I think I really saw the most progress in my creative career, I guess, when I switched my perspective. Like my goals changed from I want to be financially free or I want to earn this much, or it changed to like, okay, I want to go to this country and do this thing. How much do I need to make to do that? Or how can I do these things and experience life in the way that I want to experience it? And I find that more inspiring than setting like a financial goal or wanting to live in a certain place. I don't know. I think that that's what worked for me. I think using your creativity and the ability to work wherever as a means to travel is such a, like, it's just the best. It's the best. Just for me, I think that's what I want my life to be full of, is travel and new experiences. So I need a job that can support that and that I love to do, rather than I need a job that's gonna make me a millionaire.
You're learning about what your priorities are in life, and
Exactly.
what
Yeah.
we start off with is the priorities that are given to us by culture,
Mhm.
society, friends, parents, family. And as we grow and learn and experience life, we start to realize the things that tick boxes for other people aren't necessarily the things that tick boxes for us.
Mhm. Definitely. I definitely feel like that. I kind of feel I think there's this idea that if you travel a lot, then you're maybe, or if you focus more on things that aren't career, then you're kind of doing it wrong, or you're a bit of a slacker, or, and I do feel like that at times. I have felt like that in my 20s, but 20, I'm so young. 25, 26, that's so young still. I've got, I'm giving myself till at least 30. I think now I'm going to start to try and settle down a bit, and I've got some goals that I want to achieve now that I'm back, but I'm going to go off again soon. Give me a few years, I'll be in New Zealand again.
When you said I'm giving myself until I'm 30, what do you mean by that?
Well, I don't know. I've always had this idea in my head that 30 is when I need to like lock it in. Like I want to kind of be ready to buy a house by the time I'm 30 and um, feel really secure in myself and like I've got my own back, you know. Right now I'm still kind of floating around, like I'm living at home. I'm coming to London to work, but I'm staying with friends. I don't want to be doing that when I'm 30. You know, I want my own house and I want a little whippet of my own, and to I want to feel safe in myself, I
Yeah,
think.
I get it, but at the same time, like, I mean, I still look at 30 as a baby, and you will too when you're old.
Yeah, you're good at
But like, I don't know, I think like things will change. Like, where I mean, I thought I'd be married with kids by the time I was 30. Like when I was in my
that.
20s, I was
Surely.
like, and it's just life doesn't always work out how you think it's going to happen.
Uh,
Um, but like, it's good that you've got this vision of, I suppose it's like feeling settled and not doing the mad traveling. But that's what your 20s are for, is for
exactly.
establishing and working it out and experiencing all of this mad shit.
Mm.
So when you're traveling, how do you go about lining up clients because your mates can't come and visit you when you're in these different
Yeah.
cities. How do you find the people to, because that's inevitably your means of survival is banging out some tattoos while you're abroad.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of Instagram ads, to be honest.
Oh,
They're
you
actually
did
great.
you did paid ads.
I did paid ads, yeah, in Auckland
Interesting.
and Bangkok, and that just kind of gets you going. And then once you've got that and you've got a few people in, then it's just word of mouth.
Have you got any tips for how to set up a good? Because I've never done ads, and I don't think we've barely spoken about them on the show. So have you got any
Yeah.
like tips of like how to set up a good ad, or anything that people you wish you knew going in?
You can do it straight through. I mean, some people don't have that much luck with them, but they've always been quite good for me. And I think what I did is you can now create story ads. So I just made a video when I was in Indonesia, and it was just, I think it was me sticking some flash on the wall, and then followed by a clip like of all the different designs. And you post it on your story, and then I think you can go directly into the story and then create an ad from that. So it comes up as stories for other people, which was really good. And I do, as soon as I ask people, I'm like, how did you find me? And a few people have said Instagram ads before, or just that I just came up on Instagram. So it is, as much as it is the devil, that app, like it is a good tool if you know how to use it properly. You can also go into Facebook and create the ads through the back end of Facebook, which often has a wider reach. I don't know why that is. But then I also did posters in Bangkok. I was walking around sticking up posters, old
Yes,
school.
mate. Fucking
Yeah,
love that.
it was great. I did it everywhere. I just designed something and then got them printed on this tiny little Thai island. Um, and yeah, I don't know if anyone came from the posters, but it was fun to do.
Okay, so Facebook ads, posters, old school.
Yeah.
And then would you be out and just like networking and chatting to people, or was that literally it?
That's one thing that I'm not great at because I don't want to go to meet. I don't know. I never want to make someone feel like they have to get a tattoo
Yeah,
from
yeah.
me. Like I don't. I would never meet someone and be like, oh, by the way, I'm a tattoo artist. You should come, come and give me all your money. You know, it's not. It feels kind of wrong.
What was your favorite place that you went to?
Oh, New Zealand. I would move there if it wasn't so far away from everyone.
Yeah.
So inspiring and just pure. The air is pure. It's gorgeous.
How did being there affect your work?
I think the best way it affected my work is that when I was cycling, I wasn't drawing and I had a break. And
Oh,
I
interesting.
didn't have my sketchbook, I didn't have my iPad. So it was a forced break from creating. And I guess that recharges you, and that's the best thing you can do when you are looking for inspiration. It's just, or you feel like you've got creative blocks, don't do anything. Do something new that you've never done before that challenges you. And the ideas come to you in that way, I think. But yeah, just being around nature that much, it fills you up, gives your soul life again. And that's what makes you creative, I think, and inspired.
I feel like the videos you post really sort of get this across that you like love peace, and I don't really know
Mm.
any other way to describe it than that. Like you just love the calm and the quiet and being in nature and these sort of things that I don't know, they're definitely things that I neglect because I'm very city and busy, and I don't really sit in peace much. I don't really like take that reflective time that I think you have.
Yeah, I can't do without it. I think so obviously during the cycling trip I worked with my friend and we would be eating our dinner in front of lakes and surrounded by nothing. And then we got to Queenstown, which is one of the busiest cities. It's tiny, but it's a real tourist hotspot. We went out for this meal in this Italian restaurant, and it was honestly the only way I can describe it is that it was hell. There was so much noise coming from everywhere that it was just we could barely converse because it was such an adjustment from being in these picturesque places where all you can hear is birdsong to a restaurant with clanging plates and knives and forks, and it
Yeah.
was a real shock to the system. So I think as much as I love peace, you've got to have the balance, because if I had peace all the time, I wouldn't be able to function in like society, and I wouldn't, I'd find London too overwhelming.
What's your phone relationship like?
Okay, so I hate it. It's the short answer. I hate it and I have no self-control. And sometimes I am good when I've deleted the Instagram app off my phone, but I really struggle because I need to be on it for work. But it makes me feel sick, you know? If I go on it late at night, I'm not sleeping for hours. And it's just I get really frustrated if I have a period where I spend too much time on it. I'm just wasting my life.
Yeah.
Just life is passing me by. Okay, I've just spent an hour looking at crap. Do I remember any of it? No. Um, could I have done an hour of drawing? Yes. Does my dopamine feel depleted? Yes. It's just it's the worst thing ever. How's your relationship with your phone? I feel like you're quite good.
It's so interesting because and thank you for being so honest, because I was certain that you were going to go, I put it in a box and I draw, and this is just my like romanticized version of how you live your life, because you are so connected to nature and you're so connected to peace. I just picture people like that having this really like pure, beautiful relationship with their phone. But I think it just goes to show how fucking pervasive it is and how reliant we all are and how our screen time is fucking shocking. Um,
Yeah.
I'm in recovery and I think I'm getting better.
Okay.
I've set I found in the settings you can set time limits on apps. So I've
I've got
set
that, but I just cancel it every time.
okay, so I've been really good. Like once the alert comes up, I have to like there's no I have to shut it off.
Oh, you're
Um,
so good.
yeah, am I though? I
It
don't know.
sounds like it.
I'm getting better. I think like because I've got workarounds. It's like okay, so I've had an hour on Instagram. I've been kicked off Instagram, but Substack doesn't have a time limit on it, so I can then fuck off to Substack. And while Substack is a lot more, it's not Instagram, but they as an app they also understand. Oh, if we to bring in all of the stuff of the other social media apps, then people will be hooked to our app just as much as they are to the other apps. So there's definitely elements in there. But with Substack, I can go and read a piece of someone's writing, which is a lot more like
Yeah.
it's going to be it's long form, which is better. But at the same time, it is long form, but I'm still consuming it through my fucking phone screen.
Mm-hmm.
So I have not cracked it, but I desperately want to crack it. And I think I'm someone who has said no to alcohol. I've been like, I don't do any drugs. I've been off alcohol for, it's got to be like 6 or 7 years now.
Yeah. So
And
impressive.
like it's not impressive, dude. It's just like what serves you, and like drinking
Mm.
didn't serve me, so I cut it out of my life. And I know that phone addiction is not serving me, so I'm trying to work on how to cut it from my life. But it's so fucking hard. And the work thing, that's the thing that I find so difficult, because there's nothing of my life on social media. I don't
No.
post updates of like I go for a walk with the dog. I don't think the dog has
I
ever been
think a little
posted on
bit
the
of
internet.
Beans content would go down really well.
I'm sure it fucking would, mate. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure it would, because he's so beautiful. But there's none of that. So I always say like, oh, I'm on here for work, but like I know that that is a absolute fucking lie. I'm not on
Yeah.
here for work. I'm on here for fucking dopamine. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's
It's so addictive. And I think it's hard, man. It's hard. Even in the most rural depths of New Zealand, I'd still have a little Instagram scroll with my one bar of signal. I just couldn't resist.
it's like the most frustrating thing, like waiting for photos to load on Instagram,
Yeah.
like it's
I
dial
just
up
want
internet
one
from the
reel.
90s. Yeah, man. I think what I've found really useful recently is reframing it from using the word stealing. So I
Mm,
am stealing back my time for every hour that I'm not on social media. Those companies are stealing from us when we're
mm,
on their apps. And when we're not on those apps, we're stealing from them. And I find that quite empowering of like, I'm stealing back my time.
mm-hmm,
Because what is the number one resource that we have is time.
mm,
And the turning of our art into content is something that I've really been thinking about a lot recently, and
That also
it's
steals time, I think.
that's why I've been posting so little recently, because I
Mm,
want my art to have integrity outside of a viral video, and I
yeah.
want people to see it for real in the streets. Because I'm
Yeah.
sure so much of you've got a social media presence, yes, but I'm sure so much of your work comes through word of mouth and like in-person meetings with people.
I think so. I've also just spent a lot of time making a website. A good website with good SEOs and all the information people need is probably the best thing that you can have now, I think. I've still got to work quite a lot on mine, but it just gives you that security. Like, no one's going to take that away from you unless WordPress goes down, God forbid. But I'm feeling kind of confident that
I
it
think we'll be fine.
won't.
Yeah. So, what advice would you give to young Rosie if you could go back 5 years and when I met you, what would be your what would you say to that kid who was fucking lost? Because you were lost when I met you.
I was so lost. I remember, do you remember that day I had that meltdown and I voice noted you? I was like, David, I want to delete my whole Instagram account and I don't know what to do. And I was just hating everything that I'd ever made. And it was so heavily based on Instagram as well. Like, I would wake up, think, I need to make something for Instagram today. Like, it was never, I want to make a drawing and that's just for me. Like, it was always for something else. So what I would say is create for yourself first. That's the most important thing. Use your art as like an outlet. Don't think that you have to post everything that you draw, because you don't. And just stop being so harsh on yourself and comparing yourself to other people. Like, so my parents' house at home is full of all my art from the years, across the years. And I got home and I was looking at it after not seeing it for however long I was away, 14 months. It's really good. It's really good. And I couldn't see it at the time. And Spencer as well, whose house I'm staying in, like, she's got a bunch of my art here too. And I just wish I could have seen it for what it was at the time. And I just think you're always your own biggest critic, aren't you? And I just never felt like what I was doing was good enough. So yeah, just think, be softer on yourself. Also set up a lifetime ISA young and start saving. Like, that's, I think there should be some kind of course or some classes, like night classes, that people can take, young creatives can take, where they're just given that advice on how to do a tax return properly, how to set up your pension, how to do, an ISA, and all of these things that people get when they're employed by someone. It's all automatic. I don't have any of that stuff still. That's quite a vulnerable thing to say, I think, because I don't, I've just got back from traveling. I don't have any savings. I don't have any of that set in place. So yeah, I think obviously that's my focus now for this year, is feeling secure, but getting that stuff set up is so important. It really is. As much as you hate paying taxes and as much as you might hate this government, like, it's necessary. You don't want to be old and have no money. And also just keep having fun, keep trying new things. I think I was doing a pretty good job of that, and just go out and go to more parties. I think take life less seriously.
I love that. I got a bit emotional actually when you said the first part of your advice to your younger self, because that is pretty much word for word what Poppy Chancellor said when she was on the podcast, and
Is that
she
Poppy's
passed
paper?
um,
Yeah.
Poppy's paper cuts as she passed away. It was just really nice hearing you say that, because I think you remind me of Poppy actually in some ways.
Oh,
So
her episode was one of my favorite episodes. I found it so inspiring, and I actually did an exhibition in Brighton, and she messaged me afterwards, I think. And I can't remember what she said. I think she said she'd come and she'd seen my work and she wanted to meet up the next day, but I'd already left Brighton. And
yeah,
and I remember I looked at her profile. I don't know. I thought of her. She came into mind and I knew she was sick. And I went and looked at her profile and I saw she'd passed. And I was just like in shock.
yeah,
It's gutting, absolutely gutting.
yeah. 36 years old, and when I look at my career, people only started to find out who I was when I was 37. So if we'd
Mm.
changed destinies, then literally no one would know that I existed. And yeah, she had so much left to do, but what she leaves is this beautiful body of work, and that's her legacy. And yeah, I'm very glad that I knew her for such a short time, but she is such a reminder that nothing is. She's even got a paper cut that says tomorrow is not promised. And so it was really strange processing grief that I felt about her through her work that was about grief, and then it's the person who made it that you're actually mourning. So it was but not to I was going to say not to leave this on a sad note, but it's actually not a sad note. Obviously, I'm really sad that she passed away, but overwhelmingly, when I think of Poppy, I just have positive. She was such a light. I love that she messaged you randomly out of the blue, a perfect stranger, because your art touched her. And I think that
it was one piece of two people just hugging under. It was really simple, under like a dark sky, and she wanted to use it for something to do with grief case. That was it.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I think the fact that I found you and she found you separate of each other just goes to show that you're such a special person. And
David.
the work, I'm glad that you've started to find yourself, and I'm glad I know you, mate.
Yeah, me too. I just feel so, I'm so grateful to come on the podcast. It was so special for me over lockdown, and I'm so happy to be here.
Boom. All right. So you mentioned your website, and I think it's really fucking good, because any questions that anyone might have about getting tattooed is all on your site. So where can people find you online? How can they get booked in with you if they want to get tagged for real?
My Instagram is RR Rackham, like RR Rackham, which is just my initials and my second name. And then my website is rosierackham.com. It still needs a bit of work. It's in process, but it's got my inquiry form and everything on there. And just email as well. Email me your questions and we'll go from there.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you for having me. It's been fun.
Do you know someone who would benefit from listening to this episode? If you do, share it with them. This podcast literally wouldn't exist if it weren't for the paid subscribers over at creativerebels.substack.com and for the team at Joy Collective.